So welcome to the new week. I'm not sure if we've been in the plant room for a while. I redid things in here. Remember how I was planning on putting everything on those wooden racks? So I originally had these, how many is it, 2? And then I still had leftover plants. So I bought another one of the taller ones and it's a disaster. Those are mostly Spectabilis by Telengensis vines all over the front of it here. I am seriously thinking about just chopping those plants back a lot and making them have to regrow because it's a disaster. I moved some of them on stairs from downstairs up here because they looked like they were struggling. I think it was enough light, but it was kind of chilly down there, so I moved them up here. I have maybe I should turn this off so you can actually see it better. Shallots and Spanish sweet onions, and I also put some cabbage and red mustard seeds in here that I'm starting now and will plant out maybe in a month or two when it really starts getting cold out, because they can all overwinter okay. And then hopefully I'll get some good food in the spring, because maybe a month and a half after when it's supposed to have the last frost is when those harlequin bugs come out and start eating all the brassicas. So I've realized that I need to plant all of them when it's literally freezing out. The red on this one, where's my finger? You can tell it's one of those red mustards. They're so brightly colored. I have a moringa, dwarf moringa. This one sprouted first. Super extra dwarf, maybe. It's kind of stunted and hasn't done anything. This one is growing though. I'm happy. And maybe I'll just have one because I don't really need more trees. And I haven't decided if I'll plant another one. I'll put it that way, but I'm kind of leaning towards no. So what happened today is I planted Good King Henry, Alexander's, Skirret, painted violas, and what else was it? Shiso out in the garden, seeds in the pots where the potatoes didn't work out. And also I planted out those strawberries that I had gotten. I got in either yesterday or the day before the red blooming strawberries, and I had been acclimating to outside here for like a week or two, the Mara de Bois. So I planted those out in the garden this morning too. I'm showing you from up above kind of the disaster that's going on. So it rained a fair bit a couple of days ago. Enough sheets of water that it moved some of the mulch in the garden. So a lot of those flowers are knocked over. I think I gotta go chop them back out of the paths again and go mow because the grass is getting kind of long again. I think some of them have dropped their seeds right there between those pieces of flower patch, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't just let it grow over anyway and then just have a serious maze where you can't get through this way. You'd have to go all the way around in order to get into the garden. I think it'd be fun. I mean, I don't need the ability to walk through every single part of my yard anyway, so maybe I'll do it. So I planted that stuff out. Also, oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. That it was either a gooseberry or a currant. So I had knocked off a piece and then I put it in Clonex, stuck it in a pot with dirt, and put it in my cellar, I want to say in June. It's now end of September. 2 days ago I went down there to check because I realized I hadn't gone and watered it for about a month. It had a new baby leaf sprouting in it. So I guess my fake pretend trying to simulate fall and or spring worked. Hopefully it actually rooted. I also planted it out there with a couple of the strawberry plants in one of the pots where I had sweet potatoes. That didn't really happen, so there was nothing in it at the time being. So hopefully it grows in now-ish. It didn't really have roots poking out of the pot or anything. It didn't really have roots poking out of the pot or anything, and I was going to hold off, but I figured if I was already out there planting stuff, then I would just, do it. So I planted all of that stuff out. What was I gonna say? Here's the pygmies that survived. So that's what else happened today. So in that container with the yellow and blue pots are fava beans. I finally ordered some broad beans. I think they're Windsor and something that's purple. Sounded like it had an Italian name. And also the last row, the furthest from me, has those painted violas. Because I scattered seeds out in the garden for that, and I put them in here because I really like them and I hope they sprout in at least one spot. And these containers here are going to be my greens over the winter. So one of them has a heading lettuce, like the iceberg that you find at the grocery store, but this one has a little bit more substance to it. So a heading lettuce and lots of different kinds of basils. One's African num. There's also some Middle Eastern kind of basil and lime basil and lemon basil, and I think one more kind. And the other container is spicy California greens mix with some extra bok choy and mizuna seeds, and kind of these are everything that bolts in my garden and or gets eaten by those harlequin bugs. So I figure I'll try growing it in the wintertime in here if I already have a nice room set up with lights and everything. It's pretty much a constant temperature in here. It's like, I want to say 85 in the summer, maybe 80 in the wintertime. So if it's 80 during the day and like 65 or so at night in the winter, that should be decent for lettuces to be growing in here. Those favas, so I didn't know it before. Broad beans are okay with frost. So these are actually winter crop that's going out there with the cabbage and everything too. So these dead pots, I don't know if I told you before, I ordered some gemme in the middle of the worst of the pandemic from a shop that's in the middle of New York, I think in the middle of New York City even, and I'd planted them and they kind of grew in. You can kind of tell where things died though. They kind of grew in and they grew for a little while, but then they died back. I'm keeping the pots for when I get gemme off of these guys, and then the rest of them that are over here, the scorps and stuff. I recently let Georgie in here to kind of poke around a little bit and maybe eat some spiders because I've cleaned it up so it's less precarious. So I also set up these pots. So the big one in the middle has cucumber seeds. It's the orange cucumbers and one of the yellow cucumbers. And then two of the smaller pots have tomatillos. One is, I'm sure I won't get the name right, Queen of Malinalco or something like that. It's a big yellow tomatillo, and the other one has purple tomatillos. And then the other two pots, one pot has some jalapenos that have they have kind of brown striations on the outside of the fruit from the picture on them. And then the block peppers that I tried to grow outside this year is in the other pot. So I put 2 seeds of each of those for the tomatillos and the peppers in each of those pots, just in case I have one of them die. So these are all things that I can't really get to grow well outside here in the summertime. So my thinking is I'm going to try them in here and see if it does better if I already have the seeds. Because I kind of, even with the tropicals, I try one of everything and see what works out, and whatever works I keep growing, and whatever doesn't I'll pass on to somebody else who's better at it. But I mean, I love peppers, so I want it to work. I love tomatillo, so I want it to work. And these kinds of I don't really like cucumbers, but these kinds of cucumbers don't have that really strong cucumber flavor, and I can always make more pickles. Oh, that's what I wanted to say too. I finally managed to get around to making that strawberry rhubarb jam. It turned out well. I overcooked it. It's pretty solid. The pectin, I way overcooked it. But it's really tasty. I'm excited that I made it. It freed up a little bit of room in my freezer. And then I made pickles too. I didn't really get cucumbers out of the garden this year. I didn't get onions either. And pretty much nothing in the jars is what came out of my garden other than the pear tomatoes. I had to go buy all the rest of the veggies. because what I was hoping to grow in this year did not, unfortunately, for various reasons. Like, it was too chilly for the stuff that wanted it hot. We had random heat spikes for the stuff that likes it chilly, or the cucumber beetles and harlequin bugs ate everything back. So it's all a shame, but luckily grocery stores exist. So I went to buy a bunch of veggies and made some pickles, and then I still had some jalapenos from the store. So this weekend, as I was saying, tomorrow I'm gonna try to make pickle the jalapenos and carrots like California taqueria, Mexican taqueria style. So that's the goals for this weekend. Mow the yard, actually, and then the pickles, and maybe send another weekly update on that dead-looking pomegranate tree to the company that I bought it from, because it's been downhill since I got it. Okay. Oh, I wanted to show off. There's the seed pods. I think it's almost ripe. Maybe they're starting to split a little. Yeah, it might be time. And then, what else? For the people who I said I'd try to reroot some more Hamada by Platykyla for them, for the ones from the auction that didn't end up making it once they got to their new homes. So I'm trying rooting in moss, because rooting in water, I guess the transition was a little bit hard. So I'm trying in moss. The one tenuis cutting that I had in here seems to have died back, but I think the Hamada by Platykyla are doing okay, seeing as how they're still kind of green. And these, that dark purple elephant ear is not taking the transition to the shelf well, but hopefully it recovers. Okay, iPhone storage full. And it's long enough for the week anyway. So, till next week, bye.